Delta Hands continues now. Studio time for Michael Crespo includes ritual and meditative practice.
The darkness is a real comfort for me. For me it's an interior landscape, and usually when it gets agitated, then things move into it and I get to see more, and I see my painting process as bringing things up, and some of the most beautiful images for me about my process are the ones that just barely come into vision, just barely come up out of the darkness, and sometimes I bring it as more into view, and you start to see things, and certain colors start to appear that also are things that I feel are internal, and for me it's just a very comforting place. And a lot of my themes are about depth, darkness, deep water, deep sky, darkness. And I work very hard to slow this place down to absolutely, a sensation of taking me hours to get from one end to the other. And it's one of the things I do every morning when I come in here is a certain kind of ritual, that I've concocted and put together to kind of let me know that this is sacred ground, and this is protected, and that I can slow the world down. These times and this media and the just crashing noise, which I think has always been out there in one form of another, to make still images, which that's kind of what I do, and I've never been able to move out of it. It requires that finding those moments where a lot of movement kind of moves together and comes together and stops, and then explains itself or unfolds itself. Begins to unfold itself. And so for me, looking at the world and then trying to let it reflect out of this kind of path that I've established in my life, spiritual if you want to call it, just being alive, helps me to see maybe more themes that are germane to the whole of society. And this is what I find in art. And when I see a good painting or read a good story or read a good poem, that's what I'm seeing. I'm not quite understanding it, but I know it's slow, and I know it's troubling me, and I know that it's explaining the terror of the world, but it's in a beautiful way. I don't know if it's beautiful. Just in an awesome way, and it can be just such a small reflection out of another human being's eye, falling back onto me. And I guess that's my role model, or those great poets or those great musicians that understood those moments and were able to reflect the world back through themselves. In this little corner of the world, I really think that these things are important, and there's a power of who we are in all this work that we do. I pay attention to everything. I think that being a visual artist means part of it. I'm set up to look at things and observe things, and I really do observe things, and I observe the smallest of details, and I see the studio as a place that's just got ropes out all over the universe, in a sense, and here's where I kind of can put them together. Sometimes I paint one single object, and the whole theme is born, and then I paint that object again and again and again and again. And even in the studio right now, these are themes that I've been working with for the past 10 years and doing them over and over and over again. They're all the beginnings of things, and that's how I kind of view it. That's why these circles are around here, these enzos, which are Zen paintings I make every morning. They initiate things. Nothing ever gets finished or completed, so that's really kind of my job, is to initiate things, and I initiate what I am and what I know and what I find out about the world, and it's unique. I try to investigate certain things, and one thing leads to another, and there's that serendipitous connection of me with people and places and times and numbers, and all this gets folded into an image for me. It's just that image is, I'm trying to find that knowledge that can maybe initiate something with someone else when they see it. Nothing ever gets solved. Just for me, it's like things just begin. If you end something, you get into trouble, and so we don't want to end things. We just want to start things out there in the world. And fortunately, society still likes to look at things, and it never goes away. I mean, all this art history and all this theory and all this, the art world, and painters are still painting, sculptors are still chiseling away. I mean, it's not to say that there aren't, you know, video is just, we're all doing the same thing. I mean, it's just you find the medium, you know, you just find the medium. My daughter makes food art, you know, so I'm trying to be who I am in this society and this culture. Do I need to reflect it? And you know, I think that as a lot of great artists that I really admire and study, not just painters and visual artists, but writers and musicians, you know, looked inward and kind of found that tried to seek that kind of internal truth and then make the world, find out how the world connects to it, find out where the tendrils grow. But I mean, I really think if we understand just ourselves, and then the world reflects that, and not the other way around. It's an interesting relationship with this person that comes in here and makes these images, and it's a really interesting relationship. I like that. I've grown to like that. Yeah. Sounds like going batty from being alone in a studio 90% of my life, but maybe that has something to do with it. I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't come close to it, so I'm quite happy with that. You know, but I see myself over the years as I can chart the development of my work, and I can see my hand, and I see things coming up from that first day that still are in there, and that really do define me. I've expanded it, I think, immensely, and I hope to continue to do that. But walk in here every morning, and I was all wrong the day before, and that's now becoming a very comforting feeling, because I know, well, what is it then? And then I'm suddenly back at work again. You know, the great doubt, the great difficulty of doubt, you know, just that ingrained in us. But that's good. I mean, it's a good doubt, as long as you can let it pass through and get on with the work again, as long as it doesn't stop the working.